Welcome back to the Jessica Bergio Show. I'm so glad you're here, and hopefully you listened to episode 1 of this two-part little series that I created all around speaking your truth, but also owning who you are and what season that you're in when it comes to having more structure in your life. Because I was saying in the last episode that authority isn't about being confident. It's just about having a clear structure to what you say so that people understand when you speak. If you want to elevate the way you speak on your podcast, online, in sales conversations, you need to start using frameworks. And don't overcomplicate that word, because for the longest time I did. And I was like, oh, this is why teachers are so good at creating online coaching programs and courses, because they were teachers. They know how to put frameworks together and the curriculum together. I was not that. I was a freelance hairdresser who got to creatively play with hair. How can I ever create a framework? But that's not true. It was just a story I was telling myself. Frameworks are just a simple way of organizing what you already know. If I look back at my hair career, there was frameworks of how I set up my station, put my clients together, client experience, how I mixed color, how I formulated, how I cut hair. Of course, I had frameworks. And when I taught, I was sharing frameworks. I just didn't use that word. And so I want to remind you that a lot of times there's just one small tweak that is the missing key for you to unlock. I'm touching my brain right now, unlock that essence of, got it. Here is my signature framework of how I help people. And it's something that you can say easily, that people can repeat, right? Because if a framework is just a simple way of organizing what you already know, most people don't have a knowledge problem. There's no way. You have an organization problem. Anybody? Yeah. You know plenty of shit. And what you don't know, you can easily go find. When I ask somebody, what do you actually help people with? I get long ass winded answers. And maybe this has been you before, because I know it's been me, especially when you're put on the spot or you're at a huge networking event and you're like, not quite sure who you're talking to. And you're like, what do they want to hear from me? I do a couple different things. Um, you're not quite sure how to answer that question. What do you actually help people with? People will say things like, well, I help women step into their power and build confidence and create alignment and grow their business and just really own who they are. That's not wrong. I mean, that might be exactly what you do, but it's really not clear, nor is it repeatable, for God's sakes, right? Now, imagine if I asked you that same question and somebody responded and said, I help women move through 3 phases: identity shift, message clarity, and visibility consistency. That's a framework. It gives you shape and it kind of allows people to follow along a lot easier. I didn't fill it with words that you were kind of like, oh, I don't know what she's talking about. It sounds kind of wooey. I'm not sure. I want people to understand and follow along easy, because the easier you are to follow, the easier you are to trust. And I talked about this in last week's episode because, again, your frameworks, the more simple they are, the better. They don't need to be all fancy. This is not a funnel. Don't get frameworks confused with funnels. None of this needs a cute name. None of this needs to be trademarked. And sometimes it's as simple as saying, these are the 3 mistakes I see over and over again, and then actually naming them. Or there are 2 reasons this keeps happening. Or there's one shift that changes everything. The moment that you give something some structure, you give people something to remember. And when they remember you, what happens? They refer you. Because if someone cannot repeat what you said, they won't refer you. They won't even mention you again. They might think you're cool. They're like, oh, that cool girl Jessica, she does some, I don't know what she does, right? But they can't share your work, and you don't become known as the go-to person for that thing. They can't explain it to somebody else. And I didn't ever deal with this when I was a hairdresser, right? My work was literally a visual representation of what I was capable of. I didn't have to tell anybody. People just literally, my clients would walk down the street and get stopped. Oh my God, your hair's so beautiful. Who do you go to? Oh my God, I love your haircut, right? Like, that's easy. Who did your makeup? Those things are so completely different than how I have to pitch myself, talk about myself now. Back in the day, if someone was to ask what I did, I would just say I'm a hairdresser or a blonde specialist, or I love cutting short hair, whatever it is. There are fancier words now for the young kids that are like, extension specialists or, lived in specialists. There's always cute words that you can put in that. But imagine, even for a hairdresser, do we all know what lived in color looks like? That's a huge range. Lived in. Is it just a little bit of regrowth, or is it like literally just your ends are blonde? Oh, of course, I'm going to use hair analogies because that's my background. You're a blonding expert. Is that like a full bleach out blonde like Lady Gaga? Or are we talking Gwen Stefani? Or are we talking about like a natural beachy San Diego blonde? So this is where you being able to explain who you are and what you do clearly and concisely is a fucking game changer. Because again, if someone cannot repeat what you do or what you said you did, they're not going to share you. So I want you to really take a look at your main area of expertise in your business and your life, and ask yourself a couple things. Can I describe, this as a pattern that I see or keep seeing? Can I describe it as a simple framework I use again and again? Can I point out or point to a common mistake and explain the cause? Can I clearly name a shift that happens or that changes the outcome? If you struggle to answer any of those questions, that's not a problem. It just means your thinking probably needs a little bit of refinement so that you understand clearly what you're selling and what you're offering. Because if you see patterns that happen within an industry, or for women specifically at this age, or with children, you can speak to that pattern that you keep seeing because maybe you dealt with it as well. Every time I get stressed out, I shut down. That's a pattern. Common mistake, right? And explain the cause. Common mistake. Everyone thinks that using X is going to help solve this problem. It actually doesn't. This is what you should do instead, right? Or the shift that happens, the outcome. When you work with me, we go from you having a little bit of confusion around which step to take first into very clear aligned action. That's refinement, and that refinement shows leadership. And when you have leadership in the online space, you cut through the fucking noise. People realize that you're not here to be impressive, you just know. And the goal is to, again, sound like understandable. People want to understand who you are and what you do. Because in this chaotic, oversaturated world of the online space, no matter what you're talking about, selling, offering, sharing, somebody else is doing it too. And I don't think that you have to be like the loudest. Again, I talked about being loud last week, and I thought just being louder or whatever would help. And it doesn't. It doesn't help at all. When you clearly have a framework or a pattern or a way that you help people, people talk about you. If you say most female founders stall because they don't clearly define who they're speaking to, that's clear. As opposed to saying, well, you just need better energy. That's really hard to categorize. Oh, fuck yeah, I know I need better energy. Tell me how and what that's going to do for me. Okay, well, if I know that most female founders stall out because they don't clearly define who they're speaking to, there's a pattern there. That's because what I've learned is that most female founders have a diverse background of many ways they can help people. Because as a woman, we are multi-passionate and multi-function. We can solve a lot of problems. And so when you go high level and someone's like, well, what's the thing you love to do? What's your expertise in? You're like, well, I've done all of these things. I've done all of these roles in my last company. I built this business. I did this. I raised these children. We can speak on a lot of things. But when you get that clarity, clear ideas move the quickest. And the people that I see staying stuck the longest are the ones who don't have clear ideas to execute on. So here is your exercise for today's episode. I want you to write down your main expertise. Unless you hate doing it, then go to your next expertise. Something that you like, something that you love, something that you're passionate about. And then I want you to write out 4 different versions of it. 1 as a reoccurring pattern, 1 as a simple framework. And again, go use chat for this. 1 as a common mistake with a cause, and 1 as a clear shift that changes results. Please try not to be clever. Don't try to be super inspirational. Just be clear and precise. Because when you organize what you know, you stop sounding like someone who just has an opinion or like everybody else online. And you sound like someone who is an expert or a leader in that field. I think if you really take a high level view of where you're currently at in your life, what you want, what type of energetic exchange you wish to have between somebody. Or if you're just trying to create conversation, you can say things a little bit more like, I think this, I think that. And you may or may not get some hits on social. You may or may not grow. But if you stand with a clear position or a counter position, you're going to have people respond. You're going to have people be like, fuck yeah, or they're going to be like, I'm out of here. I don't like this girl. But I just want to leave you with this because I really think it's important to truly be who we are. I do. And if you listen to this episode and you realize that you know a lot, because you probably do, you're smart if you listen to this show, I'm just saying. But sometimes you struggle to organize it all. That's not a confidence issue. I truly don't really think anybody who follows me has a confidence issue. I think if you follow me, you see yourself in me. And I clearly don't lack confidence. Confidence has never been an issue for me because I truly believe like if I try and fail, at least I tried. You see how much shit I do. I don't have a fear of trying something. I have a fear of not trying things. So again, if you listen to this episode and realize again that you know a lot of stuff, but you struggle to organize it and it's not a confidence issue, I mean, obviously we can work on that if it is. That's more of like a leadership, I don't know, like edge. Most women don't need more information. We don't. We have all of the information and then some because everyone wants to share their opinions with us, right? Or we've chat GPT'd some shit out or we Google some stuff at 2 a.m. when we can't sleep. Most women do not need more information. I will say that again. They need refinement. We need to refine that information into something that will be helpful for somebody else that you can sink your teeth into and fucking own. That can turn into a podcast, a book, a keynote, whatever. And you probably need someone to look at how you're thinking and tighten that shit up, right? I used to tighten asses at the gym when I was a trainer. I used to fix people's wigs. Now I help people organize their thoughts, their expertise, and we refine that until it becomes a structured framework or piece of organized curriculum that you can be known for and speak on. Your offers become clear as day. They are structured. And guess what happens from that? Your income becomes structured. And that, I don't know, you feel me on this? That's where your real authority starts to shine. And that's why I'm probably getting as much amazing hype as I've been getting on social lately. So if you're in a season of really building something, a podcast, a membership, a speaking career, a brand, and you're just tired of circling around the same ideas without real traction behind them, this is literally the work I do. This is what I am so passionate about. I'm in the final few weeks with some of my coaching clients right now and just seeing the transformation in the last 3 months of what these women have accomplished, what they've done, what they've unlocked, what they've realized, what they've recognized in themselves is next level. I cannot wait to have actually all 3 of them on the podcast in the next couple of weeks because I pride myself on helping women organize what they already know, so that they can lead with clarity, really speak with authority, because every single one of them has their own super powerful story to share and actually monetize their experience. If that's you, DM me, hit me up in the DMs on Instagram at Jessica Bergio, and let's chat about ways to work with me. There are a few different ways that you can get in. I'm opening up spots in April. This episode should go out middle of March. So I'm just really in that phase where this powerful momentum that I'm feeling from the 2026 energy is, it's unreal. That full moon we had the other night, like this whole Mercury in retrograde, I believe in all of that and I can feel it like down to my bones. And I hope that you go back and you do this exercise from today and you seriously start refining on your own. But either way, let's try to stop speaking in general terms. Let's try to stop being for everybody. Your voice deserves some structure, and structure builds leaders. And that's who I want to surround myself with. So if you're here for that type of energy, I got some more for you. We've got some great guests lined up for the next couple of episodes. I cannot wait to bring some powerful women into your life and just share, where they're at, where they've been, and how they're building their business and their life on their terms. This show is really about helping you step into visibility, build a strong personal brand in this crazy entrepreneurship world that we're in. And I wish you nothing but love and success. And I'm praying for everybody. I just know that some of you are going through harder times than others. And while you might have this clarity and you might want some help, you really have never been brave enough to ask for it. So this is your friendly reminder that I don't bite and that you are worthy of asking for help, and that asking for help will be the biggest flex you ever have in your life. Sending you so much love. I'll see you on the next episode of The Jessica Bergio Show.